today, and really thankful that you are all taking the time to join me today. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to have a discussion and for me to update you on what's been happening at NBDF. I do have my pal Lauren, my teammate, who is helping me drive the slides. So we can go to the next slide, and I can tell you, everybody I think understands it is cold outside, and we are really, really fighting through a really big cold snap. And I saw this meme, and I thought this was really appropriate, not only for the northern states. I'm born and raised Chicago, but I'm living in North Carolina now, and it is it's quite cold. And I looked at Texas, and I looked at Florida, and you all have lows that are coming your way that are quite biting. So just want to say we're all suffering through this together, and we'll get through it. And just thanks for joining today. I do want to just talk a little bit about the power of working together. And when I think about that, I think about our mission. I think about our values as an organization. And um, uh, Lauren, you can go to the next slide. The power of working together, I think. Oh, okay. We've got a recording going. The power of working together is what we're all about. And when I think about our mission, I think about finding cures. I think about preventing the consequences of bleeding disorders. And I think about helping all of us, helping each other thrive. And, that's a wonderful mission. And it's really driven by these values of accountability, service, respect, diversity, and support. And I think there's an opportunity for us to use those values right now as we think about our teammates in Los Angeles. And I think about the fires that have affected so many families. And just want to say again and reiterate what Kyla said earlier, that to everybody out in Southern California, our hearts are with you, and we are seeking ways to be helpful uh, to everybody, particularly those in our bleeding disorders community. So um, just please know that we're looking at ways that we can be practically helpful, and then also spiritually, emotionally helpful as well. And so that's kind of one example of why I love our community so much, and I love the values that we represent. As we go to the next slide, I can share with you that there are a couple different ways that we're strengthening our commitment this year. We have restructured our organization in a way that I hope will appear seamless to individuals and families who are facing bleeding disorders, even though we recognize that anytime you make changes, there may be impacts that will be felt in our community. But we work very hard as a team to ensure that we can still deliver on all of uh, the education, advocacy, innovation that we have been known to lead in the past. But there are impacts. Our market has changed and will continue to change. So we need to always be looking at how we can do a better job of streamlining and being more efficient. And as we look at the next slide, you'll see one of those um, values of accountability is really important as it relates to the trust that we have out in the community. And we have a really wonderful designation on Charity Navigator and on GuideStar. We have the highest ratings there, and we take pride in that. And that's a credit to the team at NBDF, all of the staff that has worked very hard, all of our volunteers, our chapter leaders who contribute to the reputation that we have at NBDF, our board of directors. And one interesting thing that happened last week that I highlighted toward the bottom of this slide is that we have earned a platinum seal from Candid, which is, I think, GuideStar now, has a new name. But we are joining the top 0.1% of U.S. charities as it relates to transparency. And I think that's really important because if we're going to remain a trusted resource for people, we really need to be transparent. And this webinar is really part of that process of being transparent and sharing with you all, what's been happening at NBDF and where we want to go and what my vision is for the future. And when I say my vision, it's really a shared vision. And you all have been a big part of this. I like this slide because Gabby is a volunteer, and Bridget is a chapter leader. Sharon is a member of our national board. I love the interactions that I've been able to have this year. I'm coming up 2 weeks from now will be my first year anniversary. So I feel like this has been a really wonderful year for me. It's been a real challenging year for all of us. But I just want to say thank you to all of you for helping us receive these designations as a top charity. So as we look at the next slide, what I want to share with you is one area that we think we can do a little bit of restructuring and be more helpful to our chapters and to our community is to understand how technology is playing a role in our community broadly. And as a former chapter leader in my life, I share the view that there is no substitute for in-person, one-on-one discussion where you can be in the same space as another person and be sharing experiences, sharing ideas. That is the best place to be. But as technology has changed, the data has shown that 70% of people receive their education for healthcare education and the condition that they're looking to address for themselves. They look to the internet and receive that education in a much stronger percentage than even 5 or 10 years ago. And so we want to enhance the work that's being done at the community level and the in-person participation that takes place with some digital education as well. And our team has worked very hard in 2024 to launch several programs and reimagine several programs. And these are just a few of those: Thrive, Own Your Path, Steps for Living. There are many more that are on the NBDF website that are shared with our chapters and are available to families at no cost. They're not free, but they're available at no cost to families because, as we know, all of these programs take resources to build, and but they're available at no cost to families. And that last bullet there, the CEU and CME credits, really also shows our commitment to the healthcare providers community, where healthcare providers can receive, healthcare professionals can receive CEUs and CME credits through our online initiatives as well. And, this gives me just a 1 minute opportunity to say thank you to everybody involved in the healthcare community who is spending their time and dedicating their lives to improving the quality of life for people living with bleeding disorders. Oftentimes, the doctors and the nurses, the social workers, the therapists, all of the people that are involved in the diagnosis, treatment, and research in our community go unsung. And I just wanted to say thank you for your leadership and for your service. The way that people improve the quality of their life is in large part because of the decisions that you make. So thank you to all the healthcare professionals in our community, many of whom are on this call. So as we look at the next slide, for me personally and professionally, I have the view that our chapters are at the heart of NBDF and at the heart of everything we do, and really at the heart of our community involvement. And as a national organization, part of our role is to support the efforts of our chapters. And oftentimes, a national organization can be viewed incorrectly and almost viewed as a very large chapter. and if we do the same thing that our chapters do, but the truth is that our role is to support our chapters. We will do the federal legislative advocacy work. We will do the innovation work and research and innovation. But a big part of what we do and what we need to do is to support our chapters. And in 2025, we've restructured our organization to support our chapters in new ways. And I don't know the number of chapters that I've been to, but if you are on this call or if you are watching this later, um, and you are one of the chapter leaders or staff or chapter volunteers that I've been able to meet, you know who you are. I just want to say thank you because you have impressed me beyond anything that I imagined. The community, the work that you do for our community is unparalleled. It's a commitment that goes beyond 9 to 5 and well beyond 9 to 5. And so every place I've gone, I've had some special opportunity to meet families, to meet staff and volunteers, to meet board members, and consistently in the bleeding disorders community, our chapters have been so loving and compassionate and so helpful to everybody that has come in the door. So I just want to say thank you for your leadership and your service to your community and to each other. It seems like there's a great collaboration. When we had our chapter leadership summit, there was tremendous sharing of information and ideas. And so I just want to say thank you. And I want to show a little bit of how we're going to continue to support you as we go forward. The next slide talks about a couple of different ideas. One is, and I'll show a couple of slides after this that have a little bit of data, but our chapters have indicated, we asked our chapter leaders, are there some needs that you have in the capacity side to do the work that you need to do? And there was a resounding response, and it was a unified response that mentioned that there is a need out there to build capacity because families continue to seek help. And, as the climate and the market has changed in bleeding disorders, our colleagues and friends in industry who have really provided the basis for all of the work that we do and the support, there's been a clear demonstration from our industry partners that we are in this together, that we are all in this together. The giving back of resources from industry has led to, and all of our chapters know this, has led to tremendous education opportunities for families, supportive care opportunities, advocacy support. It's been across the board. And so recognizing that our market is changing, and from time to time, our industry partners have different changes in their ability to support us. It's incumbent on our organization to restructure our operations so that we can support ourselves through individual giving, major gift giving, and other revenue streams that will help get the impact we need completed. It's not about raising money, it's about raising money to make an impact. I know a lot of organizations that have a lot of money and they're not making a big impact. And I know a lot of organizations that are using their resources very wisely and have been able to really make a big impact. And we've been blessed beyond measure from our industry partners. And I think it's time for us as an organization to develop new revenue streams so that we can serve more people. And our network agrees. So, at the last chapter leadership summit, we asked a couple of questions, and this is the next slide. We'll talk just a little highlight of that. We asked how successful right now the major gift fundraising efforts have been over the last 12 months. And it's pretty clear. It's similar to, I think, a broader range in nonprofit where there's a struggle. It's a struggle to raise money from individuals, especially in a rare disease market. And even though von Willebrand disease is not considered a rare disease, hemophilia is. And so there are rare bleeding disorders that are considered rare or ultra rare. And oftentimes you can struggle as a community to find those resources from individuals and other things. So thankfully, our industry has answered the call. But the bottom part of this slide says, would your chapter benefit from national level support And we asked another question is, would you be interested in collaborating together and learning more about how we could raise money together to help our families? And it was overwhelming. There was really almost 100%. 92% said yes to this question, and 97% said yes to the other question about working together. So we've restructured our operation so that we can execute on this initiative, and we are going to do so in 25. So we're excited to say that we are going to be building opportunities for shared revenue building in 25, and I look forward to working with our chapter leaders to see that through. And what I love most about it is we'll be working on this together instead of separately in parallel. And that's exciting to me. Henry Ford said, coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, but working together is success. And I really subscribe to that. And I'm glad that we're going to be working together. And that holds true also for public policy and access. Our next slide, you can see that we are once again going to be hosting Washington Days. Last year was my first Washington Days, and it was spectacular. It was just wonderful. Met so many families, so many advocates. And this year, we're going to meet again, March 5th through 7th. In fact, I think this Friday is the last day to register for Washington Days. So when I look and see the number of participants on this webinar and those who will be watching, hopefully in the next day or two, you'll be able to go ahead and register for Washington Days. We have a robust attendance this year already, and but it's not too late to register. There's still a couple more days, so please go to our website and you'll see real easily a way to register. We may put something in the chat as well. I don't know, but we'll definitely welcome everybody in just a few weeks in March. And as it relates to access, the next slide talks a little bit about public policy and access, both at the federal level and at the state level. We have established something, you may not be aware of this, but we established something called the Comprehensive Care Sustainability Collaborative. And those are all, that's a long title of a project, but we call it CCSC. And it was started about 10 years ago, maybe a little more than 10 years ago, in an effort to bring payers together with our HTC leadership, advocates, and healthcare providers so that we could figure out how we could sustain a comprehensive care, integrated care model, and really help protect the good work that is going on across our country in our HTCs. And the hemophilia treatment centers, I've had a chance to visit a few of them this year. And every time I visit an HTC, I'm reminded of how special that environment is. When you can go to the doctor and almost have a one-stop shop where you can get all the care that you need, it's remarkable. And it's something that we need to protect and encourage. And I know we've had industry support across the board. We've had, the 340B has been very helpful. But I want to do everything we can do to protect and support and expand that integrated care model. In another condition entirely, my family benefited from an HTC model of care for another health condition. And it made all the difference for our son. And the families that I've spoken with, this past year have shared with me how much they value that opportunity to get all the care they need in one place. So we're working continuously to try to bring payers to the table to help streamline their inclusion of HTCs in their in their pay systems so that they can be reimbursed for that care. And we're constantly fighting changes that take place across the market. But this is one area where we think we can make a big difference. And in addition to that, we're going to work in every state that needs help. We've done a good job of helping in several states to change laws. And we're going to continue that commitment this year so that every chapter that needs assistance in their effort to change public policy so that people can get access to the therapies that they deserve and that they need. We want to be there with you. We're doing it on a with a small but mighty team, and our commitment is strong, and our investment is there, and will continue to be there, and will grow in the years to come because we see that as uh, a core competency for NBDF. So I just want to say thank you to all of the advocates out there. The work that you do is changing lives, not only for yourself, but for people who will come later and receive that diagnosis years from now. Because of the work we're doing right now, we're making a big difference. So thank you for that. So moving forward, when you think about innovation, you think about research. In 2025, we've restructured our team to be really effective, more effective in making an impact that actually matters to families. And our community voices and research is a registry. And I hope that if you are a family, if you're an individual or family member who's listening to this, you'll check out community voices and research and help support yourself and the community by registering and entering data, because it really helps in so many ways to drive forward innovative new therapies that can come forward. So community voices and research is a major investment, and we're continuing to invest in community voices and research. We call it CVR. So if you hear somebody talking about CVR, they're talking about community voices and research. And I want to thank our chapters who are promoting this in their communities. MASAC is our advisory council that is made up of the who's who in bleeding disorders care. These are the best of the best, and we're so thankful for their volunteerism and willingness to participate and help drive both education and policy and decisions, guidance for us. It's amazing the information that's been created and the resources that have been developed through our MASAC leadership. And Dr. Amy Dunn has been leading that effort and serving for years now in that role. And I want to thank her and everybody who's serving as members of MASAC for their work. Something new in 25 to help enhance our commitment is to making therapies that come through the FDA process. When they get through the FDA process and they actually come to market, we want to make sure that those products actually help in a meaningful way our community. So we've established the Research Roundtable for Bleeding Disorders. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring the medical teams from industry together with us and with our leadership, and also with the FDA, to have discussions about how we can improve the processes that sometimes can be very cumbersome for ourselves, for people with bleeding disorders, and for the companies trying to bring a new therapy forward. If we can help improve that process, I think we can go a long way in helping to bring innovative therapies to individuals and families in a time frame that matters to them and accelerate that time. So we're excited about that. And we are investing significantly this year in the Research Roundtable. We are also going to be working with our team at Pathway to Cures, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of NBDF. They are our teammates. And Terry Willie, who leads Pathway to Cures, as my teammate, I'm in awe of the work that Terry is doing along with her team to invest in new therapies that are coming down the road, but will help us and help our community for years to come. And we are playing an ownership role in some of those investments. So we're able to, as they succeed, the dollars that will come back as a result of that success will help support our programs and initiatives across the nation. So this is an impressive initiative that was started before I came on board. So I'm the beneficiary of years of good work that have led to P2C. So we'll continue to keep you posted on our progress with P2C. In fact, we're going to have a major announcement about a new investment that we've just made. So there's lots of excitement coming down the road with P2C. Our research team under the leadership of Dr. Michael Recht and his team. I'm so excited about what's happening in innovation because in the past, we thought about research as being far, far away, nothing to do with us. This is something that's 50 years down the road. It's not going to matter in my life. But the truth is that the innovation that we're talking about is actually potentially going to be helpful in a time frame that is meaningful to families who have bleeding disorders. So that's our focus, and I want you to be encouraged. So I encourage you to learn more about that. So as we go to the next slide, we're really talking about investing in our future. We talked about MASAC already, so I'll skip past that slide. But as we invest in our future, we're going to be building a new strategic plan, and we have a little short slide on that just to explain a little bit about the process. We're going to be assessing and gathering input from y'all and from all of our stakeholders to really try to understand what the needs are going to be in the coming years. And then we're going to define based on that data. And that means your input. So we're going to have opportunities for you to share your thoughts about where we should be going and what we should be prioritizing in the coming years. And then we'll define those goals and build some initiatives that support those goals. And we're hoping that when we come together in Colorado at our BDC, that our board, either at that meeting or at the next meeting, will be able to approve a strategic plan that would begin January 1st of 2026. So just so you know what's coming, we're going to be working on this strategic plan, and it's not my plan. It's not our home office plan. It's not our national plan. It's our community strategic plan. So I want to make sure that you know this is going to reflect your input and your desires. So we want you to be part of that as we move forward. And then we do have a slide also about a very special project that we're building. For those of you who attended the Bleeding Disorders Conference last fall, you may remember that I had a friend of mine, Greg Grumberg from Los Angeles, come on stage, and he talked about helping us with a new public messaging and awareness campaign. And we are investing in that in 2025. We are going to be building this campaign. We are seeking support for this, and we will execute on this year. And the goal will be to come up with a message that we can all support that helps everybody along the spectrum of bleeding disorders, so that whether your bleeding disorder is well controlled and you're moving on with your life, or if you have not found good control and you're needing help, and depending on where you are in your journey, we want to build some messaging that will really be supportive and educate not only our community about certain aspects of bleeding disorders, but also the general public. I think just as I'm not a member of the bleeding disorders community, I think there are many people out there who, once they understand what bleeding disorders really represents and the impact that it has on people's lives, they will be compelled to support our mission and will want to be involved. So I think it's a matter of building a campaign that can reach more people, and this is the first step, or one step in that direction. So I'm excited about what's coming there, and I'll keep you posted on our progress. And speaking of BDC, the next slide, we talk about our Bleeding Disorders Conference. And as part of our commitment to you all, we are going to host this meeting, and we are going to make sure that it is a robust opportunity for people to get the education and support they need. And we will have, once again, a chapter track for our chapter leadership at BDC. So we have, a medical track, a consumer track, a chapter track. There's all sorts of opportunities to participate. And that's going to be in just outside of Denver, Colorado in August this year. And registration is now open. And I'm hoping that, everybody knows that, last year's theme was the power of one voice. And when I say the power of one voice, what I really mean is your voice has power. What you say and what your experience is with the bleeding disorder matters. It's very important. And then we have a voice collectively as a community. So when we come together as a community, we can do great things. And that leads me to a comment that I think we all can understand. And that is, um, even in a condition like hemophilia or von Willebrand disease or many of the rare bleeding disorders, um, there are multiple advocacy organizations, research organizations that are doing the work. NBDF is not alone. We are part of a broad community of advocates who are working hard to make a difference. And I just want to say thank you to all of our community leaders, all of the national organizations, the local organizations, um, who are working to help people with bleeding disorders. And I hope that this year we can make a commitment to each other to work more closely together. I think it's going to be very important that we demonstrate uh, that value of partnership, that value of togetherness and support. And I know that everybody that I've met out there um, has had the same view. And so I'm excited to see what comes this year as it relates to our relationships with other organizations and how we can be a good partner and a better partner at NBDF to the work that's going on across our community. And I just want to say thank you again for letting me speak. I know I talked here for almost a little over a half hour. Um, I just want to say thank you to all of you for um, for your work, your leadership. Um, this is another little thing to remind us how cold it is. But Coretta Scott King. I know we're coming up on uh, MLK's Day, and I'm just so excited about that. And Coretta Scott King said, and it means a lot to me personally right now, but she said the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassion of its members. And one thing that I see across our community is a sense of compassion. And that is so rare and it's so beautiful to see. So I just want to say thank you for the compassion that you show to the community, to the individuals and families with bleeding disorders, to each other, and to me as a new person coming into the community. I feel like I've been adopted. I feel like I've been loved and supported by all of you, and just want to say thank you for that. And with that, I will open it up for any questions you may have, and look forward to working with you all in the coming year.
Thank you so much, Phil. We really appreciate you sharing your vision and the insights with the community members. We get so many questions on a daily basis, but it's nothing like hearing it directly from our president and CEO. So thank you for that. We have a few questions. The questions that are coming in, we have them through our Teams chat. We also from our staff members. We also have questions that are being asked on our social media channels as well, and also on our Q&A section. Just so you're aware, everyone is welcome to this meeting today and this chat with Phil. So we're taking them from different areas. The first question, Phil, that I see, so during the presentation, you mentioned innovation. How do you see this transformation strengthening NBDF's ability to serve individuals and families affected by bleeding disorders?
Sure, and thank you for the question. And by the way, I will say this just up front. I don't know that these questions are coming. So there's no loaded questions. I'm just taking this. I don't have a script or anything, just so everybody's aware. And but I just want to say thank you for the question. And innovation is a broad term, and can mean many things to many different people. When I think of innovation, I think of the overarching idea of everything that has to do with making things better, and specifically as it relates to therapies and innovation in new therapies, which is what I was referring to in my chat. We have a role to play. We're a member of the orchestra. We are not a sole, we're not a solo performer. Um, the NIH provides incredible dollars for research and innovation, in bleeding disorders. There are, so many opportunities for investment in new therapies. But when you think about it, it can be broken down into basic science research, clinical research, translational research, diagnostic, um, innovation. So helping make diagnosis easier, um, quality of life innovations. And I see our role being more toward the consumer side, more toward the family side of research, so and innovation. So anything that can help in a practical way to make life better for people with bleeding disorders. That's where I want us to focus. The second area of focus has to do with helping to bring more healthcare professionals into the field of bleeding disorders. Currently, there is a shortage, and it's up to us as the leading advocacy organization to help provide opportunities for young investigators and young clinicians to choose bleeding disorders as a career. Because if we can plant those seeds and help give an investment so that someone can get a fellowship in and focus in on bleeding disorders, they can begin a career that will help thousands of families. And that's something we can do. So when I think of innovation, I think about helping to fund research that's more closely resulting in um, improved quality of life, and then also planting seeds and creating new healthcare professionals in the space. And you will know there are many, many really well-respected leaders in the bleeding disorders community right now as healthcare professionals who have told me that they got their start with a fellowship from NHF, now NBDF, to get their careers going, to get the data they needed, to get the research funding that they needed. So we take great pride in knowing what role we can play with the limited resources we have, and how we fit into the broader community of innovation.
Thank you, Phil. I do see another question here. Someone's mentioned, it looks like an anonymous attendee. Are there plans to have discussions regarding how our community can be more effective working together nationally?
Yes, the answer is yes. And I can share a little bit about that. When we think about working together, you think about the pillars of our organization. You think about advocacy, think about education, you think about public awareness, you think about supportive care, and you think about capacity building. And so when I think of those things, every one of those things right now, we have opportunities in 2025 to work more closely together. And what that means is the result of that working together is really what's important. It's our impact that will matter. And I think as a result of working together and building public awareness messages that we can all get behind, can you imagine a public awareness message that's professionally done, that is beautiful, that hits all the notes that we want it to hit, and it can lead people to your chapter in your community? That's a very spectacular thing that we want to do. And that can only come by working together, because what I'm hearing from our network is many of our chapters don't have the resources to put together a major public awareness campaign. And when they do, it may be something that works for one community but doesn't work for another community. So it's not as replicable as we'd like it to be. But if we can work together on building a messaging platform that actually can, help everybody, that's great. Same thing on the fundraising side. If we can build revenue together and share it, we can really both grow and do that collaboratively. When it comes to advocacy, you think about Washington Days and you think about the work that everybody's doing in their local communities and at their state level. That's something that when we work together, we're able to help. We have example after example that we can share about how our public policy team at NBDF's home office was helpful as a chapter was looking to execute on a plan to change public policy in their state. And so I continually am the beneficiary of gratitude from different chapter leaders about how our advocacy team has helped in their state. And um, as CEO, it's just the best feeling in the world to know that my teammates are making a difference. And so this is what's happening. We can do better, and we need to do better. But thank you for the question, and I do hope that it resonates with all of us on the call to say when we do work together, we actually, if we keep in mind that we need to make a greater impact, we can make a real significant difference in a short amount of time.
That's very well said. Thank you, Phil. Another question that I see here, I'm looking at multiple screens. It says, oh, this is a good one. Throughout your career here at NBDF, you've met so many amazing community members and families affected by bleeding disorders. Is there a particular story or moment that stands out as especially meaningful for you?
Well, yes, there are several. I mean, there's so many, and I have to tell you, every single time I went to visit a community, there is a story and multiple stories that I could share. One in particular was when was able to go to Omaha, Nebraska, and was able to participate in my first infusion training. And so I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. And I was able to meet an individual who wanted to learn how to infuse because her boyfriend has hemophilia. And she wanted to learn how to um, help him, but she was too afraid to try to infuse with him. So she asked me if I would do it, and I did, and I was able to have my first infusion. I got my big stick award and all that, and um, but that was really a very special young lady who was doing something to help someone she cared about. And to me, that's just a really special opportunity. But every place I've gone, uh, I've met just wonderful people who have shared very, very moving experiences. Um, and I can share more stories. I know our time is getting tight, but one person I met, um, for those of you who saw the film On the Shoulders of Giants, there are some living legends in that film, and I had a chance to meet some of those individuals as well, and learned uh, more of the history of what has happened and the sacrifice that has been made by people who have had bleeding disorders for many decades, and the work that they did to build a foundation for us to all benefit from. And so I've met those community members as well, and Kathy and Wayne and um, several more who were just, you know, I'm in awe of those people who have taken their lives and gone above and beyond their own circumstances to help others. Uh, but it's across the board, and I would love to have a separate session just to share stories, because it's remarkable, and it's motivating to me. It's inspiring to me to want to work even harder, uh, because I see the impact that our chapters are making and that our community volunteers are making.
No, that's wonderful. I did see you. You caught the pancake. I don't know how you did that as far as that was thrown.
Yeah, yeah. Maureen, yeah, thank you, Maureen. And Maureen, also, that was the same chapter that I had my infusion clinic, so it's tremendous.
Yes, absolutely. Another question that we have, let me see. It says, oh, okay. What makes you most hopeful about the future of bleeding disorder care and support?
Well, um, there's every reason to have hope, but hope without action really is not effective. And I have hope because of the actions that I've seen taking, that are taking place. Um, it gives me a lot of hope to know that the therapies that are coming forward are more targeted therapies, meaning um, it's not only a broad-based support for individuals, but there are some targeted therapies that can be very helpful for your specific kind of bleeding disorder. And that's really helpful because that's a more meaningful therapy. I think from an advocacy standpoint, I see more and more people rising up and sharing their story and their lived experience. They're coming forward. Washington Days is amazing, and we are watching leaders being formed right before our eyes. And so I have a lot of hope because the youth of our communities, the young people, are really taking on leadership roles. When I look at our National Youth Leadership Initiative, NYLI, we're continuing that program this year. We are supporting that program this year. That is not affected in this restructure. And part of the reason is when you look at the results of that initiative and you see the leaders that are coming forward, many of them are going on to get into the healthcare field in bleeding disorders. Many of them are becoming staff members of our chapters or of our home office. And so I have a lot of hope as it relates to advocacy, innovation, education, how our team has stepped forward as it relates to the use of technology to help educate more individuals. It's amazing. So I have, I'm very encouraged, and I want all of you to be encouraged as well.
Thank you. Just looking through the questions. I see a question about, this is one from Susan. Wondering about potential collaboration between NBDF, HFA, HOPE, Coalition for Hemophilia B, etc., and how the number of national organizations may dilute resources.
Yes. Well, um, I believe that that is a really important point and a correct view. I share the same view, and I know others, um, share the same view. I'll say this. In my communications with other national leaders who represent those organizations that you mentioned, um, there is a shared willingness and a shared desire to determine a path that will allow us to work more effectively together and make a bigger impact as a result. So I'm encouraged and I'm inspired by that attitude of collaboration. And I want to make sure that we all do everything we can because you're right, resources are limited, Sue. And if we can leverage our resources together with other national organizations in a way that is respectful of everybody's autonomy and the specific role they play, because it's an amazing fraternity that we're part of. This is a wonderful group of people across the board. I've had a chance to meet with Dan Kelsey at HFA multiple times. He's been very gracious and wonderful to talk to and work with, as well as his board chair, Luke Runyon, and our board chair, and across the board. Wayne at Coalition for Hemophilia B and all sorts of organizations that are out there doing great work. They've earned um, their place in our community. And so as we come together, it will, we and to have discussions about how we can become more effective. Um, I do that with a lot of respect for the role that everybody's playing. And I do hope that we can make significant progress to that end in 2025 and the years to come.
Great, thank you. Another question that I see from Michael. Bleeding Disorder Summer Camp has been the backbone of outreach by chapters to the community, providing education, building community, and creating connections to HTC
Good.
staff.
That's
What are
true.
NBDF's plans, if any, to support this effort?
Well, camps are, when I'm visiting chapters across the network, it is clear that camp is, if a chapter has a camp, which most do, um, it seems to be the highlight of the year for the families. It's really spectacular. And because it is local, typically it's done in a local chapter community. Um, I think that as we go forward with our capacity building and shared revenue building model of support, what I would love to see is um, trying to reach out to new donors that right now our chapters haven't reached, and donors that we haven't reached, but that are there. And there are people who would support not only camp, but would support education, supportive care, advocacy at the chapter level, including camp, and would also support research, federal legislative advocacy efforts at the national level. And if we can build a package together that we can go in together and share what impact camp has for individuals and what impact innovation and advocacy and supportive care and education has on a family, I think we're going to be able to generate new resources that will support camp across our chapters. And as a person who um, you know understands the value of camp, I want that to succeed, sustain, and grow in years to come.
Thank you, Phil. I know that we're close to time. Is there anything else in the interim that you wanted to share with the community today that you didn't get to cover in your presentation?
Um, I think just a closing remark to say thank you for your work, your leadership, your service, depending on what role you play in this symphony of ours. Where you really fit matters. And if you're feeling like right now, maybe it's a tough time, whether it's economics or whether it's health related or something personal, um, I hope you will reach out to me, to members of our team. And if you're a member of the community and you're struggling or you have questions, I hope you'll reach out to your local chapter leader who can get you connected to the care that you need. And um, wherever you fit into the spectrum of our community, I just want you to feel a sense of belonging. As CEO, I serve you. So it's my desire to see that you have a feeling that you fit in and that you are getting the answers that you need and deserve. So, I just want to say thank you for participating in this webinar, but also thank you for the work that you do every day. It seems to me that, especially our chapter leaders, our board members, our national board of directors, local boards, all the staff team at NBDF, there's a lot of unsung heroes out there. When I go out and I'm able to visit chapters and talk as a representative of NBDF, I can do so only because I have a team of leaders who are working hard every day to execute on our operations. So I just want to say thank you to our team. Thank you to our board of directors. I feel like we're at a place now that is exceptionally bright. We are moving forward with strength. Our reserve is strong. Our commitment is strong. We're working together under Ryan Griffith's leadership as board chair of NBDF. Susan Hartman as our vice chair, Paulette Bryant as our secretary, and Joy Alioto as our treasurer. And all of our board leaders, they are committed to you. And on behalf of our board, our staff, I just want to say thank you and look forward to working more closely together in 25.
Thanks, Phil. Time went by so quickly, but of course, when you're talking about something you love, it's going to go by really fast. At NBDF, we are truly excited about this new chapter and the positive impact it will have on individuals and families affected by bleeding disorders nationwide. To our audience, thank you for your active participation today and your thoughtful questions. As a reminder, you can find a recording of today's webinar on our official YouTube channel within the next few days. I encourage everyone to stay connected with NBDF. through our website, bleeding.org, for the latest updates and resources, and on our social media channels, which you should follow us right now because we're actually having a giveaway for today's webinar. And the special keyword is impact. Be sure to follow the instructions to try and win that air tag. Also, by signing up for our newsletter to stay informed about upcoming events and initiatives. And of course, by reaching out to our local chapters to learn more about regional opportunities for involvement. Looking ahead, as Phil shared today, we have so many exciting events and programs coming up. Stay connected. Why? Because you are family to us. By signing up for our NBDF newsletters and checking in regularly on social media. If you have any additional questions that perhaps we could not cover today, you can email us at communications@bleeding.org. So on behalf of NBDF, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event.